I'm lucky enough to have a lot of cool, creative friends, which is great, but can be dangerous. See, sometimes they come up with incredible things that make me drop what I'm doing and start something based on their project. My friend Clay, or Super Claymation on Instagram, made a fantastic game, Threnodyssey. Think necromancers controlling reanimated cyberpunk skeletons from space. That's the vibe. Anyways, I read the first page of the rulebook and immediately started bashing together some weird freaks. There are 3 types of necronauts, or units, in this game: caskets, urns, and sarcophagi, and clearly I needed to build at least one of each. Caskets are the well-rounded, closest resemblance to a skeleton unit. They are effectively human remains stuffed into some sort of suit, power armor, astronaut suit, anything like that. So messing around with a space marine seemed like the way to go. I still had a few marines left from the Leviathan box, and this apothecary biologist looked like the perfect candidate. After clipping it from the sprue, I spent some time dry fitting and looking at the general silhouette, figuring out exactly what to change. I immediately knew I wanted to dump the marine backpack and crack open the helmet, revealing the skull beneath. Using a little precision and a lot of brute force, I hacked away part of the helmet on the regular eye lens side. For the skull, I went back to my most used kit, despite never having built any of the actual models in the box. After some more hacking and slashing, I was able to fit the skull piece into the helmet. I used an obscene volume of sprue goo here, as I figured I might be able to paint the goo as the Necromantic corpse sludge from the game's universe. To replace the Space Marine backpack, I didn't need to look far. The canister in the left hand worked perfect. Turning it upside down made it look a little more interesting, and I had a plan for the little windows during painting. Intent on changing most of the limbs, I chopped off the left leg and both arms, opting for some donations from Necron warriors. I like the idea of some space necromancer combining human skeletal remains with some other non-biological pieces to form their creations. To give this weirdo some more close combat strength, I hacked the tools from the original backpack and added them as the left arm, a whirlwind of hacking and slashing. I added some various holes and battle damage, adding a little sprue goo as a cheap sculpting tool, glopping it on in an effort to make it look like goo oozing out of this necronaut. Next up was an urn. Urns are the cheapest unit, and are basically drones. A little flying freak could be cool, but I decided to go another way. Once again, diving into my favorite kit, I was going for a walking or shambling kind of drone, but humanoid skeletal legs weren't quite creepy enough. Maybe some horse legs? Maybe some horse legs attached to a human rib cage. Not too bad. I needed to adjust the angle of these legs, so I gave them a quick hit with the lighter and bent them into place. I had used this ram skull before and liked it. This seemed like a good fit for it. I didn't want this little creep to have any arm-like appendages, so I needed something else. Looking back over the sprue the Space Marine came from, I found this bolter and cut the barrel off of it. With a little bit of trimming to the eye socket of the skull, this fit nicely. I was pretty happy with where the silhouette was heading, but still needed something. The Space Marine backpack was still sitting on the desk, which gave me an idea. Upside down on the back of this freak seemed pretty good, and after a little trimming, we had a custom fit. Rather than gluing these two together with plastic cement, I opted for super glue. A lot of super glue, plus baking soda, to easily fill any gaps and create some interesting texture. With 2 of the 3 units bashed together, all that remained was a sarcophagus, the biggest beat stick of the lot. I had an idea in mind that required 0 kitbashing, but more on that later. After priming, my typical base coat involves an all-over color with something darker, this time with dark purple, followed by a heavy zenithal highlight of something a bit brighter. I'm using deep magenta here. I figured leaving the magenta in the recesses would give everything a bit of an eerie look. So, the world of Threnodissey is a far future dystopian Earth. In the 31st century, mankind discovers enormous, fossilized remains beneath the ocean floor. These creatures became known as the Great Old Ones. Now, these massive bones, some miles wide, would become man's downfall. Humans discovered a crude resin within these remains. This great old oil, when refined, was hundreds of times more powerful than any fuel before it. Not only could it fuel industry, but it had magical powers as well, bringing forth an age of spell and incantation. The downside of all this refinement and burning was the great old oil's contamination of the earth, causing the earth to become a poisonous place, with the dead rising from their graves and massive mutated creatures walking the cities and countryside. In an effort to survive, humanity took to space in gigantic dreadnought space vessels. Of course, these massive ships required the great old oil to continue functioning, which meant trips back to Earth to drill and refine oil, and then send it back up to these dreadnoughts. The initial attempts proved pointless. The noxious, magical atmosphere would cut off all communication, and no astronauts would come back alive or human. Through the power of necromancy, the wizard engineers saved civilization, or what was left of it, reanimating skeletons and human remains, putting them into various power suits, and sending them down to Earth, where they could do all the dangerous work and send the precious oil to the ships. Of course, humans being humans, the massive corporations that ran all of the dreadnoughts constantly fight and backstab. These altercations play out with your strike force on the tabletop. I'll link Clay's itch page in the description. Head over there to get the rules for yourself and start putting together some weird, reanimated freaks. Now, this handsome little fella is my sarcophagus. It's a sculpt from my friend Paige, or PMC Illustration, on Instagram. I love all of her work. She does a lot of this cosmic horror kind of vibe, and they are all awesome. If you want some unique minis, check out her website from the link in the description. Would it be beneficial for this dude to have some sort of firearm? Probably, but I kept it as is because it's pretty damn great already. I kept the same colors I'd established with the casket and urn: green, gray metal, and yellow, distributing them around the mini. Green flesh, or maybe some clear suit so the corpse sludge and great old oil were visible. Gray metal on these ribbed for your pleasure pipes. Yellow on these growth things, and eyes or lenses, I guess. And after a little basing, these freaks were done. I had a lot of fun smashing these together, and I'm looking forward to diving further into Threnodyssey. Maybe Clay and I can play at Adepticon. Are you interested in Threnodysey? Is there another indie game you're hype on? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, you are awesome. Thanks for watching.